never been too good with the movies. Good evening, Board of Directors, Dr. Kramer, principal, staff, parents, family, friends, and most importantly, and I mean to hear you, for the class of 2008. Now, you can tell from the absence of my tie this evening, I'm a Generation X. The son of a baby boomer and defined as a generation born between 1965 and 1979. I remember a world where I had to get up to change the channel on our TV, which has 3 local channels. I remember when my parents bought our first VCR for $500. I remember when they bought the first microwave for $500. I remember the Empire Strikes Back at Cedar Drive-In in Spokane. I remember the eruption of Mount St. Helens and my dad shoveling ash. I remember President Reagan at the Cal Workshop and the cartoons depicting the red button each leader might push. I remember my sister's record collection. I remember the Speak and Spell, the Brady Bunch, and getting my first Sony Walkman. Now, for those of you that I'm speaking a foreign language to, that played cassette tapes. I remember my very first video game, which was the original Nintendo with Duck and the original Super Mario Brothers. For you in the audience, many of whom are the baby boomer generation, defined as being born between 1946 and 1964, or the silent generation born between 1925 and 1945, and a few of you from the greatest generation, born between 1901 and 1924. My parents and many of you remember not only getting up to change the channel on the TV, but a world before TV. A world where newspapers and radio brought the news. Stores closed on Sundays, and the main method of communication was to handwrite a letter to the ones you cared about. Because long distance wasn't available, and it wasn't affordable as it was. Most of the graduates sitting with us today, well, they were all born in or around 1990. No, it's not bad. You're known as Generation Y. Not as in, Mom, why can't I get that tattoo? Or, Mr. Tim, why can't I text message in class? But it's the generation that follows Generation X. Well, even though you've been dubbed Generation Y, others like myself are referring to this generation as Generation I for the information age of the Internet, because they've always lived in a world with the Internet. So here's a short list of things I've prepared. It's a short list, I promise. For the class of 2008, things that they have found to be true during their life. First, cell phones have always existed. They would die without one. When you guys were in kindergarten, Bill Gates was already rich and Windows 95 was already popular. In 2000, they were 10 years old. And they were already using the Internet more professionally than we were. September 11, 2001 happened when they were 11. Classic rock is anything from the 1980s. You feel old yet? These guys think it's perfectly logical to pay $4 for a 20-ounce cup of Starbucks. It's completely not okay to pay $4 for a 120-ounce gallon of gas. Okay, we all kind of agree with that, right? You guys got that one figured out. Music on your iPod is not illegal, otherwise why would they make that? Walmart will eventually rule the free world. That is, when that Smiley Cyrus takes over first. You know, despite all these differences, in spite of technology, in spite of fast popularity, societal changes, there's always going to be common ground between the generations. These are characteristics that we define and help propel our society, promote our dreams, and embody the greatness of what makes our country so great. One of these characteristics or virtues is compassion. Compassion to truly walk in someone else's shoes. Compassion to reach out to a stranger and help in times of need. Compassion to understand the plight of someone who has it better than you. Over the last 4 years, I've seen this class demonstrate compassion. Another virtue is wisdom. Wisdom is what is gained from life's successes and failures. Wisdom is what we impart to our children. Wisdom is what graces us with humility, patience, and confidence. And the final piece is courage. The courage to take steps never taken. The courage to overcome obstacles we face and forgive ourselves of our own shortcomings or failures in order to succeed. The courage to stand by someone who needs our strength, or to stand alone when we know what we stand for is right. We share this common ground. Graduates of 2008, I hope you guys remember the good times. I hope you remember the bad times, the tests, the trips, the sports, the noisemakers. But most of all, I sincerely hope that you remember that through your parents' unconditional love, your teachers' investment of time and high expectations, and all the obstacles you've had to overcome to get to where you guys are today, I hope that you guys remember the real message behind these actions was to instill compassion, wisdom, and courage in you. We've taught you guys for 12 years. Now it's your turn to teach the world. Congratulations. Class 2008.